Hey there people, Chilli here, and welcome to this 5-minute review as we look into the solo album by the famous Axeman Tom Morello titled The Atlas Underground Fire. Wait, that's not right. This album is The Atlas Underground Flood, which came out at the beginning of December, and my previous podcast was back on... Well then, I guess we return for a second review. History lesson. Tom Morello was a guitarist for Rage Against the Machine, and then pursued a solo career after the implosion of the band. To keep this episode short, I covered this in depth in my previous video, which I will link here or below. Anyway, today's episode is a first for me, as I do a second 5-minute review on the same artist, and similar to the last episode, Tom is sharing this week's episode slot with another guitar god, Zakk Wylde. So, if you are curious, feel free to check out that episode as it's out now. Okay, history lessons and shameless channel plugs over, let's get into the thick of it.
Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it.
A Radical in the Family featuring San Holo is up first, and certainly sounds like an odd mix. The opening guitar is edited to sound jagged with audio drops before fading away, and it's a nice sound. This has been sampled by the guest artist San Holo, who is a Dutch DJ famous for his track Light, and cover of Dr. Dre's Next Episode. Overall, a solid, albeit semi-ambient opener. Human featuring Barnes Courtney is the following track and serves as some contemporary indie hip-hop track not too dissimilar to AWOL Nation. Barnes Courtney is famous for his track Glitter and Gold and adds some good vocal deliveries on top of Tom Morello's solo, which is a highlight on this album. Hard Times featuring Nathaniel Ratcliffe, Jim Jones and Chipotle Joe is the next track. Man, there are some odd names in the musical world. I mean, who would imagine to name themselves after some kind of spicy concoction to come up with Chipotle Joe? How unoriginal. Sarcasm aside, it would be good to get them on the podcast along with the Red Hot Chili Peppers so we can get the Salsa Gang all together. Nathaniel Ratcliffe is an American singer and songwriter who performed with his band called the Night Sweats. Epic name win. And is famous for It's Still Alright. Jim Jones, not to be confused with a cult leader of the same name, is a rapper out of Harlem who originally was a part of the rap group The Diplomat and is famous for his song We Fly High. Overall, the song does jump and is rather energetic for its short runtime. You'll Get Yours featuring Ex-Ambassadors follows and is a somber track. A soft semi-acoustic, almost ballad with Ex-Ambassador singing the lines and it suits it well. Ex-Ambassadors are alt-rockers known for their album VHS with tracks like Renegades and Unsteady. This is a mellow tune that isn't too bad and is a good match of artists. I Have Seen the Way is the following track, and it features other guitar god alumni such as Rush's Alex Lifeson and Metallica's Kirk Hammett, with Dr. Dresch on the decks. It's like a makeshift G3 lineup on this track, and how does it sound? Well, it's certainly unusual. The mix of guitarists with the electronic component is odd for sure. I think it's too eclectic for its own good. There's too many mashups of styles and it does seem like an odd pairing with some parts that aren't bad, but at the end of the day, this is a track with prog rock guitarists, thrash metal guitarists, and the Michael Winslow of guitars leading the charge, while the song is electronically sampled. I think that sums it up nicely actually. The Lost Cause featuring Manchester Orchestra is the next track. Nothing like an American indie band from Atlanta naming themselves after a city from a different country with probably the most famous indie scene ever. It's a nice homage, and this track is a tranquil piece. It follows suit and creates a nice vibe within the album. The Maze featuring Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, and stylistically follows in suit and stylistically flows in the ebb to the previous track. It's a pretty piece with the help of Andrew & Co, who are famous for tracks like There Cecilia and The Satellite. Right at Dawn featuring Breakcode is next and is a bit more edgier than previous tracks, which can serve to wake up some listeners. This piece is an electronic mashup of Morello's guitar work and electronic dance music, and it's not a bad blending of styles to be honest. Raising Hell featuring Ben Harper is the following track. I haven't heard from Ben Harper in a while, so it's good to hear him collaborating with Tom Morello. Of course, Ben Harper is most famous for his early 2000s song Diamonds on the Inside, and he is a great slide guitarist. And while the guitar parts are intriguing in this track, the drum work is too in your face, and it's off kilter for me. I feel like this track could have worked better if Tom took up an acoustic guitar on it, as I know he was pushing the styles for this album. Overall, this track doesn't exactly push boundaries on anything previously heard. The Bachelor featuring Idols is next, and Idols is becoming one of my favourite new singers as of late. His delivery in a semi-spoken, semi-picky blinders Cockney accent is very catchy, and it works well for this unconventionally erratic track. Maybe a highlight for this album. Parallels featuring Jim James is the following track, and it is a nice minimalistic psychobilly rock track, like the Cramps style with less bang but still a solid groove. Jim James, the frontman of My Morning Jacket, croons well on the track and is not out of his element here. It's a great collab. Warrior Spirit featuring Rodrigo A. Gabriel is the last track of the album, and I'm glad the Blacklist showed me this artist. If you are unfamiliar with Rodrigo A. Gabriela, I would recommend you click on the link in regards to the Blacklist I have done on this. It covers the band a bit more in depth, but they are a fantastic flamingo guitar duo. It's great to see the album close with a finger blister acoustic flamingo as the guitarists go up against each other to outdo each other. It's another standout track in my opinion. There are jokes about artists releasing double albums. Tom stated that this is a sister album to the Atlas Underground Fire, released 2 months prior, and that album was a follow-up to his Atlas Underground album released back in 2019. I did state in the last review that he sounded like he was full of ideas and he showed no shortage of slowing down, and this is proof. I read that the Fire and Floods are his London calling in regards to stylistic change and incorporation of other genres to his albums. I can see the parallels, but at the end of the day, there are a few faults. This is still the same indie rock sound and formula for most of the tracks, with Tom Morello doing his guitar sounds over many guest appearances on this album. On top of this, the waiting period was far too short. If you want an example of a great double album released on 2 separate records, then look at System of a Down's Mesmerize, Hypnotize. They were released nearly 6 months apart from one another, leaving enough time for the crowd to digest the music and then want more. This feels like I've ordered a meal with an entree and received them both at once. To the fans, maybe they will highly enjoy this speed and ferocity, but can you honestly say you can tell apart some guest appearances on the albums? This nuance aside, I did find the Atlas Underground Floods more enjoyable than the Fire album. Its differences are the overall stylistic change from its predecessor, with this one being a more relaxed album. On the last review, I gave it a 6 out of 10. This would equate to about 650,000 chilies on the spicy scale. So, overall, I give this new album 750,000 chilies on the spicy scale, with standouts being Hard Times, The Bachelor, and Warrior Spirit. It's a bit better than the last album, but only slightly. Well, thank you for tuning in to this 5-minute review, people. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please leave a comment below and tell me your favourite songs. Like and share this video with your friends. And tune into our socials at Twitter and Instagram at Live Listen Erased for more discussions about music. I hope everyone has a great day and stay spicy.